All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Drat Drake. Today we have a today we have a guest named Noal Lawshe. He's someone that I've known for a few years now. I met him in one of the first ER hospitals I've worked at. He wasn't working with me in the ER hospital, so this specifically, but he was working for an oncologist who was kind of renting out the space, and I'd see him 45 times a day just in passing when I'd use the lab or go to internal medicine. We ended up meeting each other again when I was doing a relief at another specialty hospital, Access, where he currently works at as one of the ICU nurses. And he's actually one of the biggest supporters of Drat and Drake. He's been listening since he heard about it. And then ever since then, every time he'd see me, he'd just call me, "Hey, Drat." And it's just been so nice to have someone who's constantly supportive and talking to me about the podcast, and one of the reasons why I actually started this back up. So without further ado, let's give a warm welcome to Noal Lawshe.
Hi guys.
So
Excellent. Thanks for having me.
yeah, I think you're the second veterinary nurse I've had on this, and actually both men, which is not really supports
Super rare.
which is pretty rare. I should probably really start going into the actual demographic, which is more
It is
women.
mostly women.
Yeah. Now, of course, you've had quite a bit of experience in the field. Why don't you start with just telling me, where are you from? What's your history?
I'm actually born and raised in Orlando, but moved to California when I was 18
All right.
and kind of fell into the veterinary technician world. I got my job through the unemployment office out there.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, started in the kennels and just drawing up vaccines and such. Was out there for about 4 or 5 years. I moved back to Florida in 1996. Took a job at a GP clinic. Then I moved to Kentucky with a girl for a year.
Okay.
That didn't work out so well. Moved home.
I moved to Florida
Uh,
for a girl, so I totally get it.
Same.
right. At that time, the job was not available at the GP that I had previously been at, and that's when I
Mm.
actually started working in specialty medicine.
And what year?
That was in 1998, I believe. 98 or
Wow.
98 or 99. Yeah.
So at the time, there was probably only like four or five
It
specialty
was a
hospitals or
it
period.
was a very small specialty hospital. They had we actually had a radiologist, two surgeons, and the internal
Wow.
medicine team was the yeah.
That's crazy. Okay, so
Yeah.
1998. So you entered the field as a kennel in San Diego, in
In ni-
California.
just outside of San Francisco, across the
Okay.
bay in Marin County.
Oh, okay. Oh, beautiful
Yeah,
area.
yeah.
In
Little town
92?
called Larkspur.
Yeah, okay.
No,
I heard of it.
in 1980, I moved out there in
Mm.
just at the end of 88, 89.
Oh man, so you've been in the vet field longer than we've been alive.
Yep.
34 years.
Oh man. Yeah. I was born in
Let's see.
1990. I think Drake in 92, was it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
1990,
So,
April 1990 is when I took the job.
holy cow. All right.
Yeah.
So then, yeah, I've been to Florida,
And
Kentucky.
it's just been 100% on the job trained learning since then. In 2004, I took the VTNE, which is the Veterinary National exam,
Mhm.
and passed that exam. And I was licensed in Georgia for a while. I cannot be licensed in the state of Florida because I didn't attend a 2-year program.
Okay.
So currently, I am licensed in the state of Wisconsin,
All
which
right.
doesn't do much, but it does show that I have a license.
Is it LVT or
Doesn't really
RVT?
count here.
Yeah, well,
It's a CVT.
CVT. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, doesn't really count in the state of Florida, but I do have one,
Okay. Awesome, man. I
which
mean,
looks good. Which looks
yeah,
good.
no, it looks
I
wonderful.
agree.
And geez, again, 34 years of experience, I think is enough
Yeah, I know, right? Like
that's
that.
enough of
Don't
a
discount
resume.
that.
I've done all specialties except surgery and rehab and no, I did neurology. Surgery and
Okay.
rehab, I think, are the two that I haven't really done.
And did you
Well,
have any expectations? Like, because you said that you started from the unemployment office. So, like, were you just winging
I
it
had
for,
I had no idea what was going to come next.
wow.
I needed a job. I was an unemployed bag boy. I had quit my job as a bag boy, was another story, but quit my job as a bag boy because my uncle was getting married and they weren't going to give me the time off. And so I left that job and then I applied for unemployment. And this veterinary hospital just kind of fell in my lap.
So you
wow.
didn't really have any like industry you were trying to get
Nope,
into at all?
not at that time. I was 18 and I was a rowdy little teenager.
Yeah, I think
I
I
was a
fell actually.
I was a
I
rowdy
was
teenager.
my first job was a bag boy, and then I fell into veterinary medicine because I was just looking for a job as well. So pretty
Awesome.
interesting. What store were you the bag boy for?
At Lucky's.
Lucky's, yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, they think they own Albertsons, which anyone who's not from California or the West Coast probably doesn't know anything about Lucky's.
Not about Lucky's, no. We had
That's
an
actually
Albertsons
where
in
I was a
Orlando.
bag boy.
I was
Yeah.
I was
It's
a union member and everything.
wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I joined the union and everything, which I guess you're a member for life. I just have no rights right now because I don't pay dues.
Oh, fair. Fair.
Yeah.
What inspired you to move at 18 over to California?
Like I said, I was a rowdy teenager, and my grandparents or my grandmother lived out there, and my two uncles lived out there. And I needed a place to go, get
Okay.
away from my rowdy life here in Florida. Yeah.
Okay.
And so I moved out there, and then as a older teenager in my 20s, and I was a rowdy 20-year-old out there.
Good place to be in your 20s, I would say.
I agree. Expensive, but a fun place to be.
Yeah, expensive now too, especially.
Exactly. I mean, that was 30 some odd years ago.
I
Pardon?
guess before we get into kind of like your near term, experiences with, you and Alfred, I guess the big question I have right now is what are kind of the biggest things that you've seen change in all of the decades that you've been doing this that really kind of, I guess, changed in a way you didn't expect?
I don't think I probably never really thought that there would be so much specialized medicine.
Just
I
as
didn't
far as
really.
like the growth of different specialties and just the amount of
Yeah, I didn't.
patients going
I mean, when I started, I had no idea that there would be, we would be able to do MRIs, and I mean, the hospital that I work at, they just did mitral valve surgery 2 weeks ago. So
Yeah.
that was
Which is
that was
crazy,
new
yeah.
and exciting. That was new and exciting. Yeah.
And it's crazy to think like 30 years from now, where
Yeah,
it's
for
gonna
sure.
be. Because I mean, I'm sure at the time you like had no expectation that it was ever going to get to this point. So then the question is obviously, where do we go 30
Where do we
years
go from here?
Yeah. But do you have any others that you like really stand out to
And
you?
I guess I never really thought that I would be doing much else other than GP before I went into emergency medicine or specialty medicine, because I even did specialty medicine before I was did anything with emergency.
What ultimately kind of
and
pulled you into emergency?
the hospital that I worked at, I moved this hospital then worked at up in Orlando when I first started in specialty medicine. They didn't offer any emergency. It was 100% referral, right? So the primary veterinarians even had to call to even get you into the hospital, which is how it started for me. And I moved down here and worked at PBVS. It was a different hospital then. It was called something different. And they had emergency, and that's when I started to get into emergency medicine. That was in 2005, just after Hurricane Charlie, actually.
Okay. So you
Just
worked
after.
in that. You worked at PBV or what used to prior to PBVS.
I worked.
You worked in your.
Yeah,
Okay.
I worked at Dr. Roy's practice before it was PBVS was very small.
Yeah.
Very small.
Okay.
It was called Palm Beach Veterinary Specialty and Critical Care Center or something along those lines.
Okay. And then
Yeah.
when did you? So I guess just to backtrack a little bit more for the timeline, you moved back to Florida and got into specialty, IM radiology, and there was a surgery team too, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. Did you work for all the specialties, or was
I
it
did not. I worked for just the internal medicine team.
internal medicine?
And
Okay.
just for the internal medicine team. And almost immediately when I started there, they had me doing chemotherapy, and there was no oncologist in town. So they were doing chemotherapy. Yeah. So I mean, I got a lot of experience when I was younger.
Okay. That must have been
Especially moving into the
Yeah.
specialty field.
Yeah, I think that's actually probably the best kind of linear jump from GP into IM, correct? Just because you're not doing like MRIs right away with a
Right.
neurologist for the most part.
Right.
You kind of
I
follow a
mean,
lot
we
of that
did.
stuff.
Nobody was doing MRIs then.
That's true. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
We did have a neurologist. That's right. We did have a neurologist. Yes, Dr. Mary Smith.
Okay, what were they doing in the 2000s before MRIs came around?
Myelograms.
Yeah, fair enough. Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
With myelograms, with X-rays, spinal needles,
Oh my goodness.
hoping that they hit it.
Yeah. And sorry, you never worked for them. Okay, so then that was up in Orlando. What year did you finally come back down to PVS in 2005?
So I
you said?
moved down to. So that was in Hurricane Charlie was in 2004.
Or
The hurricane season in 2004, and I moved down here in 2005, just after that.
Okay.
and took a job at Dr. Roy's place, Palm Beach, whatever it was called back then. I actually don't remember. And met my wife immediately,
Okay.
who was obviously not my wife at that time, but met her immediately. And we hit it off at the office and enjoyed it a lot,
Okay.
especially the emergency part. I enjoyed like the emergency part of it.
Okay. So you worked ER there for how long did you work there until you
So
moved on to the next one?
I worked there until, so I enjoyed ER there, but I came on as an internal medicine nurse, and then I went, into the internal medicine department, but I picked up shifts
Okay.
in the ER quite a bit. And that was
Okay.
2005 that I moved down there. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. How long were you at PBVS for until you moved on?
I was at PBVS until 2011. And then I took a job in a different ER a little bit north. At that one, I was there for 4 years as I was the internal medicine nurse. I did all the ordering.
Wow.
But my wife and I moved in with her a year after we met.
Okay. Did she move to the other ER place with you, or did she stick around?
She stuck around. She stuck around as an ophthalmology nurse for quite some time
Okay.
with
Okay.
Dr. Roy after I left. Yeah, which actually I think was the best thing for us, that we split up and we're not working in the same hospital anymore.
Yeah. So was it the last time you guys worked together then? After that, you guys pretty much separated for different hospitals?
That's the last time we worked together, like all the time. But
Okay.
we picked up shifts at different ERs off and on together
Okay.
for over the past few years.
Okay. So then after you moved up north a little bit for that other place, did you end up going to Dr. Mill with oncology? Is that how that time went?
No. Where did I go? I worked with Paul, or I went to Perk for a while,
Oh, okay.
pet emergency and referral.
Yep.
I went there and worked there for a year and a half overnights. Actually did overnights.
Oof.
And did all the ordering for that hospital. And then I left them and went to cardiology for 4 years.
Sawgrass
Did
or
That's fun.
No, Tasty Rupp's place.
Dr. Rupp? Okay. Wow.
Yeah, Tasty Rupp's place.
You really been
Was there
with every specialty.
was there for 4 years. Left her and went to VML. Left her and went to
Okay.
oncology. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Left oncology and went to neurology, and then left neurology and went to Access.
Okay. Were you with 7 or with Dr. Nye?
I was with 7.
7. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I
Wow.
was with 7.
So everyone knows who you are in South Florida, the specialty. Actually, the only maybe Davey.
I've been to a few different places. Yeah, I think I've landed in my favorite place so far yet.
Okay, good.
I think I've landed in my favorite parts so far yet.
Oh, wonderful. What about it is, you have so many things to compare to. What about Access is really, makes it your favorite place to work?
Patient care is my love, and I get to work in the ICU, right?
Yeah.
And take care of patients all day and make sure that they're taken care of.
Yeah.
And that's really what I like to do.
That's a good reason.
It takes a special breed to want to work in the ICU because the ICU can get pretty hairy sometimes,
Oh yeah.
So and pretty busy. I think we had there was a day a couple of weeks ago where we had close to 30 patients. And
how many people?
I was gonna say, as always, not enough nurses. I think we had 5 nurses at that time. 2 table cases. A couple of them became table cases. Yeah, both of them needed a ventilator. We only had 1 ventilator. It's an ebb and flow in the ICU, and then I like to say the ICU is like everybody's favorite dump zone, right? Because they just bring it in.
Oh yeah.
They can push it off, right? And then they can go off and they can do something else. But I mean, as long as it's getting taken care of, and that's really where I like to be. And so I've never really been able to focus 100% on that, because usually you're an ICU nurse and the ER nurse.
Yeah.
So you also have to take care of the emergencies coming through the door, which at Access I don't have to do. There's a whole different department that takes care of that, and I really like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. And the good thing is with Access, most of the people who deal with the inpatients are going to be your boarded criticalists. So
are reporting to criticalists, yes.
Yep.
So which is another thing I really like. I like to say at that hospital, I learned something new almost every day.
Yeah, I agree. I relief there pretty often, or at least I did, and that was definitely one of the wonderful factors about that.
I was gonna say it's nice to have all the other services also, but it's nice to work in the ICU.
Did it become your goal at some point to try to rotate through all of these other specialties just to kind of see like what really clicked? Or
it did not. It did not actually, but I think management style has given me the opportunity to go to different places.
Sure.
Right, because I didn't agree with management style at some of the places,
Yeah.
I got 2 questions here. The first one is, taking away management just based on just the practice. Again, not wait, the doctors, the whole team thing. We can disregard that. Just in terms of like the study and the actual department, can you tell me rankings from best to worst kind of departments that you prefer?
Where I would want to be,
Yeah.
where I would want to be. ICU is 100% number one. Like
Okay.
I would 100% number one ICU. ER and internal medicine, I think, are neck and neck. Either one of those could be number
Number
two
two.
or number three at any time of the day.
Okay.
Right. Right.
For
Also,
what reason?
I guess I like the adrenaline that ER gets you
Mm,
with the stuff that's coming through the door. Right. But I also like the medicine that internal medicine gets you. Right.
yeah.
And then the things that I don't like, surgery would be way, way down on my list. And again, I've never really been a surgery nurse, right? I've never really done surgery.
Yeah.
Neuro, I could take it or leave it, right?
Okay.
I like working with neuro patients, but I get to work with neuro patients in the ICU,
Fair.
right? And for the most part, if you're not working with neuro patients in the ICU, then they're probably going to surgery, or they're just coming in for seizure stuff, right? Which, I don't.
Yeah.
Oncology, I like, but I got to be honest, I felt like a catheter junkie. Like that's all I was doing all day long was placing catheters, giving drugs.
Yeah.
That's the
Cardiology,
job.
cardiology's right there with oncology for me, right? Like I really like cardiology. I learned a ton in cardiology. Doctor up, learned a ton. I was forced to learn a ton, but I felt like an echo junkie, right? That's all I was doing was holding for echocardiograms and calling pharmacies and talking to owners. That's what I was doing, right?
Okay.
Maybe some cardiology nurses doing something different, like if you're working for a different cardiologist that
Yeah.
wants to do more pacemakers, right?
Sense.
Or wants to do more interventional stuff, which again, that would not have been my field, right? Because anesthesia is not my love.
Fair enough. Okay. Where does GP fall into that category, into that ranking?
I don't really know if I could ever go back to GP.
Didn't even make the list.
Honestly, I don't know if I could ever go back to GP.
Yeah.
How come?
I think I would get bored. I'll be honest
Yeah.
with you.
I
I
was
think I would
gonna
get
guess
bored.
that. Yeah.
I think I would get bored. I know GP hospitals are busy,
Yeah.
right? Especially those ones that are banging appointments out every 15 or 20 minutes, right? Just trying to bring them through the door as much as they can. But skin and ears and vaccines and
hmm
I gotta be honest too, puppies and kittens are not my thing, right?
Yeah.
Everybody has their thing. Puppies and kittens are not my thing, right? I think they're
Fortunately,
cute.
ICU, you don't have too many.
And if you do, they're sick, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. GP's not on the list.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I mean it makes sense given, if you're drawn to an ICU and ER environment, you're looking for, like you said, the adrenaline.
It's very interesting to hear a perspective from the nurse's perspective of kind of how they view each of these departments, and I think the best way, I mean, cardiology, I think is really cool, but when you're working with the doctors, oncology, essentially, you're a catheter junkie. That really is what it is.
You're a catheter junkie, man. I mean,
yeah.
unless you're doing something else, right? But I mean, if you're doing something else, if you're seeing sick chemo patients that come through, I mean, that's ER medicine, right? ER sees a lot of sick chemo patients, right?
So they get pitched to us,
yeah, because they come in to see the oncologist and like, the oncologist says, hey, I don't have time for this right now because I have chemos I got to give to these other patients that are coming through and you're sick. Boom, go see the ER doctor.
Yeah, happens a lot. All right, number 2. In every ER place that I see, there's always a battle between day ICU team and the night ICU team. Can you tell me about that? What's going on there?
I don't know why there's a battle. I've worked both, right? I've worked both. I don't know why there's a battle. I think it's just that they need something to complain about. No, they need something to complain about. So the night team does their thing a certain way, and then they come in at night, and the day team leaves, and hopefully the night team can not stress out too bad, just make things go their certain way, right? But of course, I think they need something to complain about. It's a high stress job.
It is, yeah.
It's a high stress job, right?
Okay.
Makes people feel better to complain. Gives people that little bit of dopamine.
Fair enough.
To complain about something and then maybe fix it. I don't know. I've gotten to the point now to where when I come in the morning, I get rounded. The overnight nurse leaves, and then whatever they've done, what I say done is they have I'm I'm super anal about certain things, right? I like my IV lines hung a certain way, right? So if the IV lines are all twisted, I just go to them and fix them and make it better and move on with my life. I try not to complain anymore.
Assuming the best intentions of, the other people you work with usually is a good strategy, but I feel like
And
sometimes across that shift boundary, it falls apart a bit.
yeah,
But go ahead.
yeah, the culture is also different. The day night culture.
Mm.
Also during the day, we have way more support staff during the day. The hospital that I currently work at, it runs at full capacity 7 days a week.
Yeah.
They do surgery 7 days a week. There's one or two surgeons cutting. So
Crazy.
yeah, so during the day, there's always a lot more support staff, and I think that's also helpful for the day nurses
Yeah.
to maybe not stress so bad.
But definitely, yeah. I mean, where I work primarily swings and overnights, so I definitely see as the sun goes down, the support staff dwindles a little bit more. So
Yeah.
it can be pretty
When
stressful.
when I did overnights, it was just me and an overnight doctor.
Wow.
There
Bless
was
their
there was
hearts.
usually an assistant. There was usually an assistant until like midnight,
Hmm.
1 a.m. And then that assistant would go home, and then it would just be me and the overnight doctor. And at the hospital that I worked at the time, the doctors were allowed to sleep, so they could go back to the bedroom, right? Get
Hmm.
underneath the covers and turn on the TV, fall asleep, and I would sit out there with 10, 15 patients some nights.
Yeah.
Does that
And
frustrate, I guess, not only you, but
that
is
was
that a frustrating thing as like a tech to have hospitals that do let their doctors sleep?
I don't know that it frustrated me that much. It was definitely frustrating. And not every doctor would sleep either, right?
Sure.
Definitely frustrating. The busier I was, I see your dog in the background. Definitely frustrating at times, especially when you're busy. But the doctors that I worked with were pretty good about me going in and waking them up, and then coming out and helping, or going and letting them know that there was an ER, in the building that they needed to get up.
Yeah. I mean, if you're gonna
At
go sleep,
times,
you
at
better
times
be.
they're a bit slow,
Yeah.
right? At times they're a bit slow and listless when they come out, but they were usually pretty good. I didn't usually get too much back flack.
That's
Okay.
good.
So this actually segues into my next question. What makes a good veterinarian to you?
A good veterinarian, compassion, I think, makes a real good veterinarian, uh, for both the owner and the patient.
Yeah.
Owners are scared, inebriated, especially
Yeah.
in the ER. We come at them asking for a large amount of money, usually right off the bat. They don't trust us. I don't know how trustworthy I would be if I wasn't in the field.
Yeah.
Um, and then all of a sudden, somebody asked me for $850,000 to say it's going to take that just to tell you what's wrong with your dog,
Yeah.
right? Because diagnostics are not cheap. I mean, you guys know diagnostics aren't cheap. X-rays. So I think compassion and then just a little bit of slow down, talk to people a little bit, even when they're yelling at you. I know it can be hard. Even it's hard for me. I used to be against having owners around a
Hmm.
lot. But recently, I've been a little bit more compassionate about letting owners come in the back and be with their pet, even the crazy ones. You know,
Yeah.
it's hard. It's hard to have the ones. It's hard to have the owners in the back. I don't know that I could do 100% veg style.
Yeah.
You know, that's pretty hardcore. I feel like they should leave. When certain things are happening, but I'm not 100% against them being there when it's CPR time, and
Mhm.
so that they can see what's happening,
Yeah.
and they just aren't they're just not being told that, hey, this is what we did. They can see what we're doing. They can see the nurses
I
rotating
found
out,
I
you
found
know
when the owners are there for the CPR,
yeah, it help
they
it,
tend
it
to
helps, I think.
respond better. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, I think compassion's the biggest thing, but I think that goes for nurses too. I think
Yeah.
nurses need to be more compassionate.
Yeah. No, I think you're one of the most compassionate nurses I've ever met, and I don't. I'm not just saying that because you're on the podcast. I've
Right.
seen you. I've seen the emotion, the passion you've put into this. Now, doing this for 34 years, obviously, again, we don't talk to a lot of veterinary nurses. As veterinarians, there's a huge mental health thing. There's a huge, we talk a lot about compassion fatigue. How have you been able to maintain this for so long?
Man, I don't know. I honestly don't know. I did, truth be told, I took a year off and I went and I did construction for a year between the overnight hospital that I was doing and the ER specialty hospital up in the gardens that I was working at. I took about a year, maybe a little bit more off. And then I was doing construction. I was doing some waterproofing. I fell off the ladder, broke my hip. And then I decided that I could go back to do overnight veterinary medicine because I'm not going to break my hip, wrestling a dog. That's probably one of the only breaks from veterinary medicine that I've ever had. Maybe it's the fact that I feel like it's the only thing that I know, really. I mean, construction, I can build houses, work in the sun.
Did you
And
have experience in that before? Or
waterproofing?
I
I have construction experience.
gotcha.
As a young boy, I worked with my stepfather, who was a general contractor. So anytime I would get in trouble at school, suspended, summertime, he needed help. Any of those times, he would truck my brother and I off to work.
Okay, rambunctious indeed. Huh.
Yeah, which I think was good. It gives me, I could do stuff around the house.
Yeah,
I can hang a door and put a new window in if I needed. I can do tile work. Awesome. Things of that nature. So I do have some construction experience, and I thought, let me give veterinary medicine a break because I didn't leave that hospital in the greatest of terms.
Okay. So
I thought a break would be nice. Yeah. But that's really the only break I've ever really had from veterinary medicine, and I don't know how I guess it's better for me to be there taking care of that pet than some other nurse that maybe doesn't care as much as I do.
Yeah, I agree.
I've seen some other nurses where I look at them and I say, this might not just be the best job for you, buddy. You might have to go somewhere else because you can't be like that with the dog or cat. You can't be like that.
Did you feel like there was a measurable perspective shift that you had like when you were coming back from your construction, or was it just kind of like, all right, I was happy where I was?
Yeah, I don't know that it was perception. I was happy. I enjoyed being alone when I came back after construction because I went, like I said, I went into the overnight stuff, and so I enjoyed working alone. I enjoyed being able to do things my own way for a while, right? But I did miss. I like talking to people. I like talking to people. I like working with people. But I got a lot of alone experience. Learn how to do some good stuff by yourself. Learn how to draw blood. Learn how to place catheters. Learn how to use sandbags pretty good.
Nice. Very nice.
Yeah. I don't know if I would want to do overnight again. Even in the hospital I'm at, I don't know that I would want to do overnights again. They have some open shifts here and there. I think about picking them up, and then I think twice, and I say I just don't know if I want to do that.
Where is that on your body, man?
52 now. I'm 52 now. Yeah. It's hard.
Now you mentioned, you said that you'll see nurses, or let's just even go say assistants, and you look at not just their compassion, but just even their technical skill. You'll reflect and go, maybe this job's not for you. Funny enough, we see that in veterinarians too. But in your 34 years of experience, how have you seen the shift or the change in veterinary? I mean, what used to be a veterinary technician, now we're adopting the term nurse. How have you seen this evolve?
So, well, first of all, it's actually a first-degree felony in the state of Florida to use the term nurse if you're not a human nurse. It's a first-degree felony, right?
I didn't know that.
So, yep, it's actually against the law in almost all 50 states to call yourself a nurse. The North American Veterinary Technician Association and some of the colleges around the country that now have veterinary nursing programs, they're actually allowed to they can use the term nursing because they're using it as a verb. But when that student graduates, they'll still be a veterinary technician.
Okay.
Yeah. First degree felony in the state of Florida. I know a lot of people do it. I even do it. I call myself a veterinary nurse, but it is, just so we're aware, first degree felony in the state of Florida.
That is very good. That's really good to know. Okay. So how have you seen it evolve?
What was that question again? I've seen veterinary technicians evolve. And since where I came from, I mean, I didn't learn how to draw blood until I went to the specialty hospital. So, I mean, that was in 90. I think it was 98. I went to the specialty hospital. That was the first place I ever really drew blood. Most of the other stuff, I felt like I was more of a veterinary assistant, right? And I was just even the person that was above me at the hospital, the head technician at the hospital, did very little venipuncture, right? And very little catheter placement. The doctor was almost always involved in that. The nurses, technicians, when I first started out, they were a lot more reluctant to use the ultrasound to do things like cystocentesis, right? There was a lot less, I think, utilization of your nursing staff for what they're available or what they knew how to do. And that's come a long way. That's come a long way. The medicine that the nurses provide, I think, has come a long way in the past 34 years from what they used to do. I mean, when I was a veterinary technician, I don't even know if they had a technician program in the state of California. They called me up in the morning and they said, "Hey, there's a vet hospital down the street from your house. Would you like to talk to him?" And I said, "Sure."
Got the job the next day.
Yeah, got the job the next day. So
yeah, I got the job because the doctor or the owner needed a guy. He took care of heavy things.
To carry heavy.
That was why I got the job. I had no other reason. I had zero skill set.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Given the time, I mean, obviously you stuck around, right? And there's definitely a lot of people that become veterinary technicians that then either go, they want to go be a human nurse or, whatever they decide to move on to next. And a lot of times it's because, they cite that the amount of work they're doing for the amount of pay and, just all of these factors come into why they feel like they don't want to continue in the role. And I guess for me, it's always like, I've wondered, like, what can we do as like an industry to really try to make the career like a sustainable thing, that we don't have so many people that like want to do this, but then feel like they're forced out of it for whatever reasons. Do you have any perspective on that?
I think pay is a big thing. Title protection. Nurses they should have some sort of title protection for the veterinary technician. As well as the veterinary assistant, so that they all know what they are and are not allowed to do. In certain states, nurses can't place IV catheters. Technicians can't place IV catheters. Veterinary assistants can't place IV catheters in certain states, which I mean, even if it depends on your skill set, I myself, if I moved to a different state, would be considered a veterinary assistant and may not be able to place IV catheters. So and I think that's rather simple. I can agree that maybe veterinary assistants don't need to be intubating dogs and cats, but something as easy as IV catheter. But I think that's a big thing is technician utilization, what they are and are not allowed to do.
I guess, do you mean in terms of like really trying to make it clearer? Because I guess for me, I look at like each state law has its own structure for what assistants versus technicians are able to do, but I guess to me, it seems like there's a fairly decent amount of clarity on that. Are you advocating for more like a national level, or what's
I'm
the
advocating
shift?
for more of maybe more of a national level, right?
Okay.
I know that they still want to be licensed by, like, you should still have to be licensed by your state, and the state should still have its own regulations, but I think there should be a national recognition, right?
Got it.
There's a national exam, right? But the exam's not even recognized in all 50 states. Not all 50 states even require the exam. For instance, in the state of Florida, the state itself doesn't require the exam, and they don't give out the certification here in the state of Florida. The certification in the state of Florida is given out by the FVMA and Florida Veterinary Technician Association. Those are the two people that give out the licenses here in Florida, not the state.
I mean, I guess it makes sense that the level.
I kind of advocate for
legitimacy.
something that wouldn't benefit me at all, because I never went to a 2-year program, right? But I do think it would benefit. The profession.
Yeah. No, I mean, it makes sense that if you have a lot more clarity, especially if you're going across state lines, that you can say,
especially if you're going
this
across
has a
state
defined-
lines.
Yeah.
For those
sense.
people that live close to state lines and have 2 jobs, right? I mean, I know a lot of veterinary technicians that have 2 and some even 3 jobs.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't live near state lines here, but still, I think pay disparity, I make a pretty decent living where I work, right? I think I personally, I think I get paid pretty fairly for somebody that didn't go to college, and as I think I should, right? As I think I should.
$600,000 a year.
No, not even close. Not even close. Not even close. But
I mean,
It's not
I
fair.
think pay disparity, right? If you go to the middle part of the country,
Yeah.
right? It's if you go to the middle part of the country, there's veterinary technicians that have been doing it for, half as long as I have, that are making half of what I make. I mean, they're making
smart. Yeah.
they're making 17, they're making 15, 16, $17 an hour.
And do you have anything else that really feel like, other than the credentials and the pay, do you feel like there's anything else that's really kind of missing as like a puzzle piece in this?
I don't know. I feel like I'm on the spot now, but no,
Yeah,
I
no,
don't.
sorry, I know it's like a really
Right off the
complicated
top of my
question.
head, I don't. Right off
Okay.
the top of my head, I don't. You know.
Well, why don't I lead into it? How about training?
Okay.
Because, Phil, who was the previous technician that I had on the podcast like 2 years ago,
Mhm.
he went to
Oh.
a technician school, I think in Colorado. I asked him
Well,
about his thoughts
you
on that.
you went to Belrea?
I think so. I think it was Colorado. And he told me that he doesn't
went to
have a lot of
Belrea, I bet.
perspective. I think it was because when I asked him about it, my experience from what I've seen with assistants who just have a bunch of experience versus technicians with a bunch of experience versus technicians who have a degree and went to school. I haven't really seen a significance in terms of skill set or just I don't. I've seen nurses that don't go to school and are incredible, right? And I asked him about that, and he told me that his school specifically does have a very good reputation, but generally, the schools I haven't really been incredibly impressed with. What are your thoughts on
Mo-
that? I mean,
my thoughts are, most of the technicians that I think a lot of the technicians, I'm guessing, but I would have to say that probably greater than 80%, right? Greater than probably 70 or 80% of them are all going to online schools,
yeah, that's true.
right? They're all going to online schools. They're all going to online 2-year programs, right? A lot of the programs are self-paced, right? Some of
Okay.
them are not self-paced, but a lot of them are self-paced, right? Which I didn't go. So it's hard for me to
Fair.
talk about the different types of programs. I didn't go. I think that would be helpful, right? If there was more opportunity for the schooling, for them to go to on-campus schooling, I think would be
Mhm.
helpful. But I don't know 100%. I mean, I work with a girl who was going to St. Petersburg, right? And she graduated with honors, but she was super motivated, right?
True.
She got a lot of stuff done in the ICU. She works in the ICU with me. She got a lot of stuff done in the ICU, and she was super motivated, right? So if you're not super motivated and you're on an online program, I think it could be difficult.
How about actually, let me pivot into just more so
Mm-hmm.
training in the hospital, right? Because I mean, again, we can argue that veterinarians go to school and they're not ready
I
to
was
be the best veterinarians, right? So
I was
how's
going to say, my next thing would be is should be some sort of more of an internship, right? Whereas
mm,
we get technicians that come to us, right? But they're mostly on externships, right? And most externships, if I'm right, you're not really supposed to do a whole lot of work, right? You're supposed to just really observe, right? And they're 1 or 2 weeks, right, of just basically observation. You don't really. So I think a little bit more in hospital training would definitely benefit, right? But it also depends on the hospital that you're going to, the hospital that you're working at, right? If you're as a veterinary assistant and you're on your online program and you're there, you can get a lot of learn a lot of technical stuff. But you got to be at a hospital that wants to train. I think that would be hard for somebody that's at a small mom and pop hospital in the Midwest that has one doctor. And I know some of those smaller hospitals and GPs and stuff, like, they're always trying to bang out as many appointments as they can. And if you're trying to bang out as many appointments as you can in those hospitals, it's not going to leave a lot of time for training.
mm,
And who do you
You know,
feel should be leading that training?
depends. I mean, in a larger hospital, I think there should be some sort of training program, right? The hospital that I work in, we have a training program. All of the nurses, the younger nurses, the baby nurses, if you will, I myself even have a binder, right? With their levels that they have to complete, and there's certain skill sets that they have to complete. They need to watch somebody do it a certain number of times. They need to show somebody that they know how to do it a certain number of times, and then they need to do it a certain number of times. And when all those three things happen, they get signed off on that certain skill set. And when they reach when they get everything in a certain skill set signed off, they move up to a different level, which I think is helpful. We have a lot of nurses that have really worked hard on their book, right? And I've been there just over 2 years, and I didn't start the program, but I've been there just over 2 years, and I've seen a lot of nurses come far. I've seen a lot
That's
of nurses
great.
really do a lot better than they were when I first started there.
I'm
And
happy
are
to hear
those
that.
programs basically just put together from scratch by whoever works at those hospitals, or do you guys kind of have like materials that you start with to then build off of?
I don't know how they put it together. I don't know. The honest answer is I don't know how they put it together. We did have a training coordinator in the hospital that was working with them to put it together. I don't know where he pulled his information from, right? But the book has a lot of things that I think they should be good at, but it also has a lot of things that I don't necessarily know that, depending, I guess it depends on the department that you're working in, right? Has a lot of stuff in the book that they have to get signed off that they don't even work in that department. But if they're going to move, they should know how to do that stuff, like anesthesia for the ICU nurses. But hey, if they want to move, we've had several ICU nurses leave us and go to surgery because they want to learn more. So, but I think training really depends on where you're at and how motivated you are. I think I was fairly motivated over the years. I don't have any formal in school training. I'm 100% on the job. And you got to ask questions. If you want to learn stuff, you got to ask questions, and you got to watch, and you got to want to do. You can't just stand around and watch the same nurse put the central line in every day, right? You got to step up and say, hey, I want to do that. You can't just walk into the X-ray room and stick a dog under a beam and click the picture and then have the doctor tell you that it's a great picture, right?
Yeah.
I'm one of the doctors that's gained a bit of reputation for being very picky on
on radiology.
So that totally applies to me.
Oh yeah.
Well, I was a radiology nurse for Dr. Roy for 4 years, so.
Oh wow! So then you'd be the go-to technician.
I like to take X-rays.
Yeah.
But I love the ICU more.
So radiology, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
I
guess radiology would be. I guess radiology would be up there as well. Yeah, I do like radiology. I forgot about that one. I have very limited MRI experience, very limited CT experience, but that was a long time ago.
Yeah. Now, how about Nicole, your wife? Now, you said obviously you guys met when you came back here, moved in after a year. Has she been in veterinary medicine the entire time since you've known her?
She's been in veterinary medicine the entire time. When I met her in 2005, we were just real friends for a little over a year before I moved into her house with her and her ex-boyfriend.
Okay, then. That'll be for another episode, huh?
That was So it was a short time after that that they split up, and then a short time after that,
Lawshe jumped in.
Yeah. But we worked together we worked quite close together for a long time doing ER and such before I left. And then she went on and did ophthalmology.
Mm-hmm.
The Palm Beach vet specialist took on an ophthalmologist, and she worked directly with him for about 6 years, I believe. And then tragic story for another day, but he took his own life. And she went and worked for a different ophthalmologist for about 5 more years. She recently, I believe 2 years, she has been over at Pet Emergency and Referral as their manager, as their training manager, basically.
Okay. Oh wow.
Yeah. And she does it all over there. She works with the oncologist, which is where she's at today. She works in the internal medicine department. She's working on a training program with them. She works in the ER department, and she works in the surgery department.
Okay. And strictly training management, does she do like inventory or other kind of hospital?
She does not do inventory or anything like that. Okay. She's mostly works with the training, trying to set up a training program over there.
Okay. Did you give her your training book for her to take a look at and get some inspiration
I did not.
from?
I did not. I have not brought my training, but I haven't brought my training book home. I have a few things signed off in it.
Okay. You keep it close to your heart at work.
It is.
It doesn't leave your
It's on the
side.
shelf. I can see it every day when I walk to my locker. It's a good book.
Yeah. Now, tell me what it's like having a partner who's a
Um,
veterinary technician.
I like it. We can I have somebody to bounce stuff off of,
Hmm.
but we are pretty good about keeping it separate at home.
Hmm.
Of course, when she comes home, she has to, get some stuff off her chest. When I come home, I have to get some stuff off my chest. Mostly we leave it alone. We like to do some other stuff. We don't just do veterinary medicine together. I
Okay.
do enjoy working with her from time to time, and I can pick up a shift at her ER with her. Um, we like to do Christmas, right? If I'm
Okay.
not working Christmas at my hospital, I can pick up a shift at Christmas with her hospital because one of us
Oh,
is always working a holiday.
fair enough.
Uh, yeah, we like to fish. We like to kayak.
Cold brew
Uh,
is one of the things
we
we
like
talked
I
about.
like the cold brew. Actually,
Yeah.
I'm finishing up my I only have one cold brew vessel, but I'm finishing up some cold brew today.
Okay.
Maybe that's a different talk too. I don't know how I should grind it. I feel like I didn't grind it enough last time. I feel like I'm
We'll
not
talk
getting
about
enough
that.
flavor.
All right. Yeah, we could talk about that for
Yeah.
sure, man.
I
Okay, so
feel
good.
like
You
I'm
guys
not getting
don't,
enough
yeah,
flavor.
you guys don't just live veterinary medicine, and you guys were able to really kind of have a life outside of it despite all
We
the
try we
years.
try to do we try to do some other stuff. Yeah, we try to do some other stuff. We do a lot less now, I think, than when we did before COVID.
Mm,
We were a little bit more. We went out a little bit more before COVID, I think,
mm,
than we do now.
fair.
Um, yeah, I think we went out a little bit more when we worked together
Hmm.
because we would leave the office together and maybe go right out and have a drink or something along those lines. So we don't go out quite as often anymore. But we have 5 dogs, a 40-pound tortoise, a one-eyed horse.
Wow.
How
Yeah.
long have you had the tortoise?
I've had this particular tortoise I have had since 2015. The tortoise I had before him had an unfortunate ending.
Oh,
He stopped eating. We put a feeding tube in him, and then he just was not a well doer after that. First time I'd ever done anything on an exotic animal, and I had some
Yeah.
help with the team over at Pet Emergency, which they also had never done anything. But we had somebody good walk us through it and got it taken care of. But he just was not a well doer after that. And then one of the doctors at Pet Emergency, his neighbor's tortoise had just hatched a bunch of eggs. And so I said, sure, bring me one. And then when I told Nicole, my wife, she said, one, get two, man. So
Just
I had two up until about 2 years ago. I got rid of one. They were two males.
oh,
okay.
So up until about 2 years ago, I got rid of one. So now I only have one male. And he's not drastically looking for another home, but if another home pops up, he is available.
okay,
He needs a little bit more room than I think I can give him.
fair
Yeah,
enough.
I mean he's 40 pounds. It's
Yeah,
not he's not that heavy and he's not that big, but when he gets to be 80 pounds,
yeah.
he's he's going to be that heavy and he's going to be that big, and then he's going to be 100 pounds and he's going to be a real pain in the ass,
No,
right? I don't do much with him. I let him be a tortoise.
Okay.
You know, he walks around the backyard here and there, eats some of the grass. He loves to eat dog poop, which is why he doesn't get free roam of the yard. Otherwise, there would be no dog poop. And that's just a little too much protein for him. Actually, he's a grassland tortoise, so
Oh, fair enough.
he's essentially a cow.
Yeah, I was gonna say, hey, if you just let him, you don't have to pick up the poop anymore. What? Just let him
Free
out.
poop scooper.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he just that's a little bit too much protein in that dog excrement for him.
Good to
So he
know.
eats grass and kale and hibiscus flowers and
What's
hay.
the feeding tube an NG tube in your other
It
tortoise?
was not. It was a esophagostomy tube.
Oh, it was.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Oh.
Wow.
Like
Mhm.
same
Okay.
same deal.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty
You have
much.
a little
It
turtle
was
size
I
kitty
know.
yeah.
collar one.
He was I was able to. We did it when his head was pulled mostly in. So I don't know how
Oh yeah.
they were able. Yeah, well they poked it through and then they were able to. We sedated him and they were able to pull his little neck out and push it down. it was new to me. It was even new to the surgeon at the time. We had a turtle specialist walking us through on the phone.
That's awesome.
It was a red rubber. I think
Yeah.
it was a 10 or 12 French red rubber.
Okay.
Yeah. But he did not do very well after that.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure what happened. He just all of a sudden stopped eating. We took x-rays. He did not look impacted. He looked like there was stuff inside, but it didn't look grainy. It didn't look like sand. So maybe he just got impacted with too much grass. In some of the turtle groups that I'm a member of, just several on the Facebook, it does happen where people just wake up and find their tortoise dead sometimes.
That's too bad.
With
And I
grass
don't really know why.
impactions or
Yeah,
Or just
he may have gotten it. The lawn had been mowed the day before he got sick,
Mm.
right? And he was out back, but I don't know if he was eating at that time, or if not, maybe he hadn't been eating for a few days. I just noticed it a day or so after that. I was like, "You're not eating anymore."
So
Yeah.
the tortoise you have now, you said he's 2 years old and he's already 40
Oh
pounds.
no,
Okay, I'm sorry.
no. I've had him since he was 2015.
Okay,
So
so he's almost
so
10 and he's 40. Okay.
yeah, he's almost 10. Yeah,
Wow.
and he's 40 pounds. He's a slow. I don't overfeed him. Again, some of the groups that I'm in, there's some tortoises in there that are like 2 years old and they're 20, 30 pounds. And I think those people really overfeed their animals, you know. And literally he lives on hay. He gets orchard grass
Mm.
90% of the time. The rest of the time he gets some hibiscus twigs and leaves and flowers, and he likes that kind of stuff. And he's eaten all the grass that is in his little wardened off little area. It was full of grass before him and his little brother moved in there. So there's no grass left over there. So it's all hay and bought stuff. He likes kale. Every once in a very, very blue moon, he'll get a strawberry or two or a banana.
Oh.
Yeah.
it's like a cow.
I don't take him for a walk or anything. So, Nicole has a horse. His name is Maverick. He has one eye. He lost his left eye to a sarcoma in the eye socket. The eye itself was fine, but the socket around the eye was not fine, and so they were unable to save the eye.
That's too
Yeah,
bad.
so he's one eye, but he's a trail riding horse.
Oh, cool.
And so she goes camping with her friend where she keeps the horse. She goes camping multiple times over the winter and the fall. Yeah, so he's still pretty good, pretty mobile. She loves him, makes her happy, which makes me happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really cool, man.
Yeah.
Oh, here, well, let's actually, since we're on such a bright note here, let's go on to the last segment here, the omasarcoma.
Okay.
All right.
I was wondering what that was in the email. I was like, I don't know what this omasarcoma thing is, though.
Yeah. So
And I tried to remember, but I couldn't.
that's all right. I'll kind of reiterate it. You know, we OMA, typically these types of tumors are benign, so it's more of a good thing.
Gotcha.
So you talk about something that's positive in your life. Again, it could be literally anything. You know, I got new headphones, or the weather's good. You know, the sarcoma, then typically they're not very good tumors. So this more of something you want to complain about, something that's kind of negative. You know, just kind of a platform for just to kind of share these things. If you don't have anything prepared, Remy and I were just talking. I don't think we had anything either, but since we want to talk about coffee, I'll kind of move it. I'll start with my OMA. We'll kind of circle around, and then we'll do our sarcomas. Lately, I have an espresso machine, and we've talked. I think the first thing we bonded about was coffee. Back at PPVS. So I have an espresso machine, which over the last like 5 years, I've kind of been upgrading slowly. But I'll get it on sale, so then like I'll sell the old one for essentially the same cost that I bought the upgraded one for. And so, you know, my net cost has been essentially zero so far. But I've been making lattes, of course. I know, right? I've been making lattes for a while, and slowly, like the artwork, you'll see, like, especially on my Instagram, you'll see like the progression of just how much better it looks. But in like the last few months, I've stopped doing it because my wife and I have been obsessed with the Starbucks, the brown sugar oat milk shaken espresso. So after spending like, you know, $7 a day on those drinks, we're like, wait, can I just make it myself? So the last like 2, 3 months, I've been making a lot of shaken espressos, and it's been good. We've been like we have a routine in the morning that we just do every day, and it just makes her so happy, and it makes me happy. So
What is a shaken espresso?
so I don't actually shake it, but really what they do is they'll pull a shot, they'll put some cinnamon and some and ice, and they'll actually end up shaking it like a martini. And that creates aerations and just a little bit more of a different texture and flavor profile in the coffee. And then when they
Okay.
pour it and they add some oat milk, you get a little bit more of that, more of a fuller flavor. So I don't shake it. I used to use a steam wand to kind of push steam and
Hmm.
bubbles into it, but that took too much work and too much time to clean it. So I ended up just getting one of those little, those little foam things that you get
Oh,
for
yes.
$5 online. Yeah, we just do that now, and it works fine.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So now going segmenting into your cold brew, you were mentioning that you haven't been getting as much flavor. You know, tell me about
I
it.
feel like my coffee's not. I feel like I've got this dark French roast that I got from Kirkland. Actually, it's a Costco brand, and I feel like I remember you telling me that your grind had to be a little bit more coarse
Hmm.
for a cold brew.
Hmm.
So I thought I did like a decent. Maybe the grinder at Costco sucks because I just feel like the grind is too big, but I still did like a coarse grind, and I just don't think like
The
the
flavor.
coffee's good. I just feel like maybe it's not the right coffee. Maybe I just need something that's darker and more roast because I just got a dark French roast.
Okay. Are you saying the
I,
flavor it wasn't strong enough, or just
I feel
wasn't?
like I feel like it's not strong enough.
Oh.
I need more coffee in my vessel. Like
Oh.
I need a more coffee in my vessel.
I
Or maybe if I could get the grind, if the
yeah.
grind could be finer, right? But then I don't want a lot of coffee grinds in my coffee.
Yeah.
So I
I
got to
would
get my
do
mesh really fine.
I would do more coffee then, because what we do with our cold brew is that we make a concentrate. And I think you told me you
I
do
forgot
similar
you guys
thing.
can see me. That's why.
Yeah. No, I'll edit that part out.
Okay.
Actually, I didn't even see it. Um, but yeah, I think you usually add more coffee, and that might just kind of concentrate your flavor more.
Neighbor has this huge tree
Mm.
that climbs up the power pole and blows the power up
Happen ours too.
every 3 months or so.
Yeah.
Every 3 months or so, the power goes out, and so FP&L's here, and they're back to cutting it all down now.
Oh, thank goodness.
Yeah, so I mean, probably we'll get another a year out of it before they
Okay. Well,
before it starts making the
that's
transformer
a good
blow again.
that's a good OMA right there.
It is well that they're cutting it. Yeah, that is a good
Yeah.
omen. They're
Yeah.
finally cutting that thing because when the power goes out during the day, it gets warm in this house, even with the air conditioner on,
Mm,
and the dog room gets warm.
it's true.
And then I start to worry that they're going to overheat.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah, especially with all five of them back there panting.
Well, here we talk about the coffee. Yeah, I would say just add some more coffee. See how it goes.
I have to get a bigger vessel then because it won't the thing that I put the coffee in, it won't allow any more coffee to go in the hole.
Mm, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that'll be my next thing. Bigger vessel.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah,
Yeah. You guys come with your OMA?
I'm
I
good with
have
my
one.
own.
Yeah. All right. Go ahead. No.
No, I said I'm good with mine.
Oh, okay.
Oh, mine is the power pole.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Mine is the
Sweet.
power line getting cut. And I mean, honestly, guys, I'm super happy with where I am in my life overall right now.
Yeah, sounds like it.
I have a nice wife, lovely wife. I have a decent house. I live in an okay neighborhood. Live on a dead end street. It's quiet.
Yeah.
It's a good time to be
Yeah,
alive, huh?
I agree.
Yeah. Cool, man. I'm really happy to hear that.
Yeah.
It's good to hear, especially when we talk about veterinary technicians and their average career lifespan is 10 years or less, and we've got you out here for so long, thriving too. It's great to know. Great to know.
Yeah, I see. I'm only in one veterinary technician group on the Facebook. I see a lot of people that pop on all the time, and they're like, "Just I've been doing this for 6 years, and I can't do it anymore. I gotta drop out." And I just think 6 years. You're kidding me. It's not for everybody. I think my wife is going on 28 years
Hmm.
in the veterinary field. Yeah. And I think her first stint at emergency medicine was also at the Palm Beach Hospital.
Mm.
So
Mhm.
yeah,
I feel like that's
everything's
kind of
good.
how you have to move on. I think if you're doing GP for X amount of years, there's only so much you can get into, and if you really want to continue, you gotta jump to kind of the other level. I'm
Yeah,
not gonna say next level, but just the other level.
the other level,
Yeah,
a different road.
exactly. Yeah. Remy, what's your OMA?
Um, I don't know if I mentioned this, but did I talk about how I went to the plant festival?
I think you
Did
did,
I?
but not to Noel. So why don't you share it with us?
Okay. Well, so my wife and I went to this plant festival, which I don't know how long it's been around, but it was way bigger than I thought it would be. It was like this outdoor plant thing in the middle of a park,
Where are you located?
in the Tampa region.
Oh, you're in Tampa. Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously, if you go there, you have to buy some plants, right? Which we don't have a ton of room for, some extra plants, but we ended up getting this really awesome orchid, which has kind of got like this like bamboo like character to it, and then it's got these really nice white flowers, so it's kind of cool. And then we ended up getting a bonsai, which is new to
Yay.
both of us, so we don't
Uh-huh.
know what we're doing with it, but we got the one that supposedly is supposed to be a low light.
I can see you
So
so zen in the morning with your
Trimming.
clippers, trimming things and just like having a
well,
cup of coffee with it.
Steph didn't
Your
realize you had to keep like pruning it and like trimming
Yeah.
it.
little
I'm like,
sand
otherwise it just
garden
becomes a
right next to
bush.
it.
Yeah. With the
Oh
little stick broom.
yeah, the little
Yeah.
sand. Yeah.
Little Zen garden right
We're
next
not
to your
there yet,
bonsai
but
tree.
That'd be
maybe
cool.
maybe
That'd
we'll
look
get
really good
there.
with your tortoise, Noel.
It would.
Yeah.
It would. Want a tortoise?
I I have no room for one.
No.
All right.
These people that keep their tortoise inside, it's just amazing.
That's wild.
Yeah,
There's
I
some
Like
people
wouldn't
what,
that
they
keep
make
their
like a
tortoise.
dirt
I wouldn't do that.
No,
thing
they
in
just
their
let it run
house,
around the
or they just have
house.
like
There's
a
no
hutch?
sunlight. Like how do you and I guess maybe they have a bunch of windows and like sunroofs or
They bring it
something,
in at
but
night. No, it just has like free
oh,
roam.
Oh,
Like they
okay,
take
okay.
it out in the
okay.
backyard, and then at night they just bring it inside.
Okay.
They just let it walk around and poop and pee inside their house. It's
Not
a
for
bit
me.
much for me.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot.
Not for me.
All right, let me get started with the sarcomas. Currently, my daughter's been teething, and it feels like she's been teething forever. For her, she's 8 months at this point, and she's already developed actually 8 teeth, so four on the bottom, four on top, which is
Oh wow.
pretty early. I think most kids her age only just like start having their bottom or their top teeth, and she's already got her size, her second incisors. So she's been drooling a lot and not sleeping well, and it's been affecting me. This is about me, okay? And we've been giving her, of course, Tylenol or sorry, or Motrin, something to help her out, and it'll help a little bit, but it's just tough, with nap times and just feedings in general. She hasn't been feeling it the last couple of days, so it doesn't make me feel good. It's my sarcoma.
Grandma said bourbon.
Yeah, yeah.
A little bourbon.
No, you got a
Yeah. Well,
sarcoma? Or
at least that's temporary, right? Like,
that's what, hopefully.
well, yeah, once you grow in your teeth, they're
Yeah,
in.
Right? Pretty much. Yeah, that's what we
that's
keep telling
true. At least it
ourselves.
doesn't hurt when the adult teeth come in. It's just
Yeah.
the baby teeth just cutting
Yeah,
through.
exactly.
You know,
Yeah.
it's a young time in their life that they won't remember it.
Yeah. Sooner the better. I guess we'll just get it over with.
My sarcoma is I need a medical procedure done, and I'm not looking forward to it. It's the prep part of the procedure, right? It's a
Okay.
upper and lower GI, right? That I
Oh.
have to have done, and I just the prep part. I'm not looking forward to it.
I'm sorry.
I've had one at a different time, and I need to have it done, and I don't want to have it done, and
Yeah.
that's the only thing I have that's pressing on me right now.
Okay. Can I ask what the prep is? Is it typically medication or is it just like a certain type of food you have to eat or
It's
fasting
an
or
Oh, it's no
combination?
food.
it's an
I
No
NG
food.
you
tube
have
with
to
Go Lightly.
God, if it was an NG tube, that would be so much better. It'd be so much better. No, I have to drink this Miralax, and
Yeah.
and because you clear liquids only, and you can't nothing red, right? Jello, but no red Jello. Gatorade, but no red Gatorade. Fat-free broth. It's 24 hours of starving.
Are you doing that now?
No.
Oh, okay.
I have to prep myself to prep myself.
Oh.
I mean, that's my whole problem is all I have to do is call up and make an appointment, but then I have to look forward to the day and a half before that where I'm just like starving, drinking liquids, spending my time alone in the bathroom.
So it's not the procedure itself, it's the prep for the procedure that's
No,
worse.
I've had an upper and lower GI. It was propofol.
Oh yeah.
Not bad, guys. Not bad, guys.
Don't
Those
say it too
dogs.
much. We don't want to get too controlled now at this point now. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I know. But when the only one I ever had, I woke up and I was like, how long was I out? And they said I was out for like 45 minutes. I was like, I feel like I've been sleeping for like hours. I feel great. Nope.
Yeah.
So,
I had it
so that's the only thing that's hanging over me.
Okay. Okay. Well,
Right
I hope
now,
it goes
I don't
well.
think I have anything else that's pressing. I'm sure it will.
Yeah.
I think it's mostly routine. So
Okay.
yeah.
Cool, man. Yeah. Don't text me when that happens. All right. Just text me the next day.
No. Text you the next day. Yeah. Won't text you the day of.
Yeah. No pictures.
I'm
please.
going under.
Progress updates.
No progress updates.
Remy, how you doing, man? What's bugging you right now?
Well, I just discovered today that. Oh, so let me back up. So my mom just purchased a robot vacuum, which I've had one for a while and I love it. Like it's literally like the most important appliance in my house, right?
We've talked about this actually. I don't want to cut you off, but I have to bring it up because Remy is like one of the stingiest people I've ever met. Which is great, you know. I mean, it's good for him because I'll spend money like on this stupid check engine light just because why not, right? And he has like this
discount.
He's like this big computer programming guy, and he uses like a $20 mouse. And I just recently bought myself an $80 mouse, and you know, but the thing he'll like go ham on is like a nice vacuum, which I respect.
I went nice on my keyboard, like I got
fair.
You know,
Fair.
save my wrists, but no, I mean, so she needed a robot vacuum, right? Because she has pets and pet hair accumulates, right? And it's just, I mean, being older, it's harder to keep all your floors hair free and mopped and all that stuff, right? So what better than a robot vacuum? The problem is that she just got it and then it went on discount for like 30% off or something. Like a large amount. Which is like a huge bummer. So
yeah, can she return it or do a price adjustment?
Doesn't like Target give you like?
Oh yeah.
Not that they bought it at Target, but
yeah, no, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I literally just discovered this like a couple hours ago. So that's the current thing waiting on my mind right now.
Oh yeah, like, you need to take care of that.
Overpaid that vacuum. But, no, I mean, relatively minor in the grand scheme of things. Fair. She's very happy with it. She was not a believer in robot vacuums, and now I won over another person. I feel like I should get like sponsored by one of them because
we have two.
Yeah.
Ooh.
What brand?
I know one is a iRobot.
Okay.
I do not know what the other brand is because we don't use them as much as we should.
This podcast is sponsored by Roomba.
Roborock.
Use promo code DND for 20% off your next purchase.
I'd be down. Yeah. Well, I mean,
awesome.
How many times have I brought it up in the chat group, right?
That's true.
I wish there were like a promo code that I could use.
I think that's gonna do it for episode. Noal, Lawshe, thank you so much for being a part of it.
Thank you for coming on.
I'm so glad.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, it's good to know your story and to hear a lot of the positivity going on. We'll let me know your thoughts on the podcast when we post it, and we'll catch everyone later. Okay.
See you later.
Sounds great.
All right.
Sounds great. Have a great day, guys.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.